Good morning, fish keepers. Cam here from thefishroom.co.nz, and we have done it again. We've made it to Friday. Let's celebrate with coffee. Oh, I spilled some on myself. I know I say it most weeks, but this is a good coffee. Oh, happy days. All right, what have we got today? Quite a bit, as per normal. My book is relatively well filled up for a change. Sorry, I was being quiet. I was just reading that comment. I enjoyed that. Hi, Brian. How you doing, buddy? Happy birthday for Sunday. Rightio. So, first of all, let's just discuss hours again because it's relevant. We are open in the shop Monday to Friday, 11 till 4:30. We are closed on the weekend and we are closed on public holidays. The reason it is relevant is because next Friday is a public holiday, which means we will be closed next Friday. I will still be here on the Friday morning to do this video with you, and we are still working really, really hard to get a guest on. I'm trying to finalise one. I know it's one, if we get to go ahead with them, everybody will be very, very happy to hear their thoughts. We're just trying to get it over the line. If not, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. But we're working really hard for our guest for next Friday. Obviously, it's a public holiday, so hopefully we get a few viewers and a few listeners. And if we do get the guests that I'm trying to get, we'll be all very, very happy. So fingers very tightly crossed we can get that over the line. So just another quick discussion on plants. We are now in winter time, which means the variable sizes of plants come into play quite a lot. They come on and off of the wholesale list ridiculously fast. What was coming in really big bunches are coming in very small. What was really high is really short. So just bear with us. It is a terrible time of the year for plants. It just is what it is. Some notable plants that came in really nice this week was potted pennywort and potted blue hygrophila. They are both looking really, really good, really healthy, and really lush. The ambulia came in really well as well. And something else. What was it? I can't remember and I can't see it. The red hygrophila also came in looking really nice as well. So there's still some plants that are coming in really nice, but they are others that are coming in quite small. Acuata has been coming in a little bit smaller than normal recently, and polysperma has been as well. So it is what it is. It's just part and parcel of this time of the year. So we just have to deal with it like that. Good morning to everybody that is saying hello. Brian, Cam, Gary, and Corey. Hope everybody is well. I hope everybody is enjoying their Friday. How good is a Friday? During this week, our email system went down for about 3 days. So if anybody has sent an email into us, I have not received it, and I'm sorry. It appears to be working fine now. I sent a couple of emails out this morning, and I've had a couple of replies. So far, so good. Hopefully, there's no other issues. So if you're expecting an email reply from me from, we'll just say Tuesday through Thursday, and I haven't replied, it's because I haven't actually physically got it. If you sent it, it never came into my inbox. So I'm very, very sorry about that. If you are expecting an email, please send it back. Otherwise, I haven't got it, and I've got no idea you've asked me a question or you've communicated with us. All the communication on Facebook Messenger, Instagram, all the other stuff was fine. It was just via email. So I'm really sorry about that, but it seems to be working now. So if there was some communication that you had sent, I haven't got it, so I haven't replied because I haven't seen it. There is at least 2 people that I know that I have to email because they sent an email on like the Monday, and I was expecting a reply and hadn't got one, so I'll be getting onto that this morning. But other than that, I don't know if anyone sent me emails or like that, so I'm very sorry about that. Earlier in the week, maybe it was Friday, I can't quite remember, Saturday, Sunday, sometime last week, this week, put a post up looking for celestial pearl danios. We're still looking for those fish if we can possibly get our hands on them. They are a fish that were very common in New Zealand several years ago, but they're not allowed to be imported anymore, to my understanding, which means there's only a few small amount of them available in people's hands at the moment. So what we're looking at trying to do is getting a small group together, even if it's just a male, female, or a male and a couple of females, and we're really going to try and get them spawning, get them going, and really try and repopulate the numbers again. They're too beautiful of a fish to get lost, and because they can't come in anymore, to my understanding, that is a real possibility that could happen. So if we can get hold of them, then there'll be a full-on breeding program going on, trying to really get some numbers up going and get them pushed around the countryside. So if you have some celestial pearls, please contact us via email, or you can send us a message on Facebook or what have you, and we'll go from there. I'm more than happy to come and collect them in person. If you're worried about curing them, I've got no issues doing that. I'll drive where I need to drive, fly where I need to drive, fly where I need to fly, doesn't really matter. If you've got them, I'm happy to do that, meet face to face, grab them, no dramas. I'm also understanding that because they're quite a rare fish now, there's some people that don't want other people knowing they've got them. More than happy to completely keep it silent and not basically telling anyone where they've come from. To send us public messaging like that if you're worried about that. So I've got no issues in that as well. So if you do have some and you do, or you're willing to let them go so we can get them bred, get them spawning, get them pushed around the countryside, then please definitely contact us and we can go from there. And yes, you're right, Brian, they're absolutely stunning fish and there needs to be lots and lots of them around. Another concern would be like the zebra danios. I know there's a lot of them in people's hands at the moment, but they can't be imported now as well. So if they stop being spawned and bred, there'll be another fish that goes the same way as the celestial pearls. And again, they're a nice looking fish because they're so common at the moment. I think a lot of people sort of meh on them, but they're a nice looking fish. So fingers crossed, plenty of people keep their hands on them and they don't get lost as well. While we're talking about danios, we've got some leopard danios that are going to be released today. They are looking really nice. Very shiny, very spotty, very cool. I've only got 10 or so of them, unfortunately, but I have got someone spawning them on a regular basis. So they're nice looking fish, very healthy, very plump, and they're probably not far away from breeding if you're looking for a little breeding project of leopard danios. Earlier in this week, when I say earlier in this week, I mean yesterday, we got our full order of fish science back in. So that's the full range, excluding the micro pellets because they were out of stock. And I believe there's an order of that coming into the country very soon. So the very popular oak and algae wafers have come back in. And the flakes, which have also been popular, have come in all sizes as well. And the corridor tablets have come in as well. So those will be the three most popular ones behind the micro pellets, which we can't get our hands on. A very high quality, very good nutritionally balanced and based product. So if you haven't tried it, it's well and truly worth a go. It's one of their products in our rotation of what we feed it in the shop, which we'll run through a little bit later on. But it's very, very high quality, very palatable fish food that is based on what the fish eat in the wild. So giving them the proper nutrition that they require, which of course then gives them lots more colour, lots more activity and better health and whatnot. So if you haven't given the Fish Science brand a run, it's well and truly worth a go. So we got fish in last week, about this time last week. Excuse me. Some notable ones of the diamond tetras are looking absolutely stunning. Very beautiful fish. We've got some Pistogramma trifasciatas that have come back in as well. They're looking really nice as well. So we're available next week. We also got some Stellite bristlenose in middle of this week. So they're another 10 days or so away, but they're a good size, a lot bigger than the last lot that we've got in. But they're looking really nice. I know there's a lot of people that are keen on the Starlights. Neon dwarf rainbow fish are looking beautiful as well. I'm a massive fan of them. I think they're a stunning little fish and very underrated. But they're looking phenomenally nice. And so far, so good. We've been really good with the corridors again. So for those of you that have watched a few videos, you'll notice that my time with corridors haven't been the best out the back. I've lost a lot. Haven't worked out why, but I think we might have established what's going to keep them alive. Fingers crossed. So we've got some Julii and pandas out the back. We've lost one of each, which is really good so far. And previously, at this point, we probably would have lost most of them, if not all of them, after a week of having them here. So, I'm happy with the results so far. Fingers crossed they've got another week. They're all looking really good. They're all eating. Everything's looking chunky. No issues with the barbells on the face, something like that. So, fingers crossed another week, and they're good to go. And then we can move them forward, and we'll try some more cories if these go through, that's bronze, pepper, pandas, Julii, stir-buys that have all gone the same way. We've all tried the same theory, the same method, and we've lost very little of them. So fingers crossed what we're doing now is going to work. And we'll try some other ones, and hopefully we've unlocked the way of keeping them healthy, keeping them alive, and getting them nice and chunky for everybody else. Unfortunately, on the flip side of that is that our cardinals have taken a turn for the worse. I think we've got 50 of them in, and I think there's about 10 left. Cardinal tetras are another one that they just seem to not enjoy the water that we get here. I've noticed if I lose 2 or 3, that's the whole lot, they're gone. When I say 2 or 3, I mean like 2 or 3 overnight. That's the whole lot of them gone. If I lose 1 or 2 over the course of the time of having them out the back, then we're good to go with them. Unfortunately, overnight on Sunday night to Monday night, I think it was, lost about 10 cardinals, and I knew that was pretty much it. So I'm trying hard to keep the rest of them going, but I'm not holding my breath. It just is what it is, unfortunately. Just they don't seem to enjoy what we're doing. So I'm going to begin fiddling around with some other things when it comes to the cardinals. Not a massive fan of chasing the pH, but I'm going to begin that. That's something that we haven't tried. So if we have to do that, or if I have to do that, that's going to be what it is. We have put a pretty decent filtration system on the incoming water, which has helped for most of the fish. We were having some massive issues prior to Christmas, or at Christmas time. But the filtration unit that we put on seems to have dealt with all that, except for cardinals. Rummy nose are another one that's a little bit sketchy as well. But also I was talking to the person that put the filter on for me, and he was saying that they've got another filtration system that you can put a pH changing block into it. So you can either bring your pH down or pH up. We need to bring it down a little bit, so we'll be discussing the option of putting in a far larger filtration system to try and bring the pH down a little bit, to try and help things like cardinals and rummy nose. It's got a feeling it might be a pH issue that's causing that. So that's pretty much that. What else we got? Hold on, someone's knocking at the door. Hold on. Yeah. Mr. Courier came and said hello. So there we go. We've got some people that are getting some orders on the way out now, right now. So we'll be looking at playing around with the filtration system. Hopefully that helps with what it is. The Nelson water is pretty hard. I'm on the Tasman District Council water supply, which, for lack of a better term, is absolutely rubbish. It's full of nitrates. The pH is not super high, but the pH is a little bit high. It's full of chlorine. It's just absolute gunk. So, prior to putting the filter on, we were obviously using dechlorinator, but I think that the high nitrates are causing massive, massive issues. When we took the lease over, because I got all my permits through Nelson City Council, I naturally assumed that we were on the Nelson City Council water supply, but it turns out that the crossover from the Nelson City Council to the Tasman District Council water supply is about 100 metres up the road that way, so we fall into the Tasman region. The Nelson water is pretty good, the Tasman water is pretty average, and I've spoken to multiple people, multiple fish keepers that have issues in the Tasman region with phosphates, algae issues, high nitrates, fish death, and all that kind of stuff, and I believe a lot of it attributes to the rubbish water. I know some of the fish keepers in the Tasman or Nelson, the Richmond region, they've got RODI units for fresh water. They strip it all out and they replenish it with equilibrium by Seachem and stuff like that, just to try and balance it, just to stop the issues they're having. So it's a common thing. It is what it is. Just unfortunate, but we'll try and work out what it is that we need to work out to try and get things like cardinals and rummy nose and other slightly more sensitive fish under control, healthy and plumped up, so everyone can buy them basically. There you go, nice little yarn about some water. We've got Purigen back in stock. I find this incredibly hard to keep on the shelves. Basically, it seems like we buy it in on the Monday and it's sold out again by the Sunday. So we doubled our order this week for it, so hopefully it lasts a little bit longer than a week. Purigen is a phenomenal product. It works really, really well. If you're having issues with tannins or discoloration, it's brilliant for that. We've got a video on YouTube showing a test that I did a few months back with some very, very brown water. I put some Aquatan into it. Basically made the water black, and I think it was in about 10 days the water was almost crystal clear again, which was pretty impressive considering how dark the water started. So we've got the Purigen there if you're looking for something to make your water crystal clear. Purigen is also a product we use in the shop, in our shop tanks and stuff like that as well. So it's a product we use. I think it's a very high quality one, and I don't believe that it's snake oil like some of the other products that are here in the aquatic industry. Right. You can just see, just behind me over there, we've got Omega-1 fish flakes in. So it's Omega-1 flakes is a product I had in the previous shop about 4 or 5 years ago. It was one that I really liked. I really liked the texture of the flake itself. I liked the multiple colors of it, which obviously meant multiple flakes going into the container, that sort of thing. So I was a big fan of it, but we never sold it. So obviously, if it's not selling stuff, there's no point in having it. It was one that I was previously using and that I was enjoying. However, because we weren't selling it, took it off the shelf. We've had a few people ask for us to bring it back in, so we've done that. Again, if there's products that people want to see, we're more than happy to get it for you if that's what you want. If you want to purchase it from us, no worries whatsoever. And the Omega-1 Tropical Flake is one of those ones. Again, it's a product that I really used to like, that I used previously before, and I thought it was a fantastic flake. So we now have that on the shelf. So for the people that were asking, it's ready to rock and roll for you. One of the other fish that I didn't talk about before that we got in the other week that is now ready for sale is the red-tailed yellow phantoms. They are really, really cool. They're quite small at the moment, but the red spot on the tail is very, very prominent. They're very active. They seem to show together really, really nicely. And I think they're a nice little fish. So a little bit on the expensive side as far as tetras go, but you're definitely getting a nice fish for the money that you're paying for. So I think we've got 30 or 40 of them in. Not one of them died. They all looked phenomenal. They're all looking phenomenal. They're all full health, all eating happily. They're a very nice looking fish. So if you're looking for something slightly different and slightly on the rarer side when it comes to tetras, the red-tailed yellow phantoms are definitely them. They're a nice looking fish, and I don't think you'll be disappointed if you buy a small group of sort of 8 to 10 or something along those lines and put them into your community tank. They're a nice looking fish. Nearly coming to the end. What have we got here? Aquatic plants, aquatic pants to thrive. What plants are you trying to grow would be my first question. And what issues do you think you're having? What lighting do you have? Substrate, fertilizers, all that kind of stuff would be the first lots of questions to ask for that. Are you running CO2 or no CO2? How big's your aquarium? All that kind of stuff would be the first things to ask when it comes to that. How do I get my bed so lush? Well, Cameron, first of all, you have to grow a bed. I do have an answer for you. Hold on. Let's look. What are we talking about? Stem plants, or are we talking about rosettes or Anubiuses? They're all going to be a slightly different answer depending on what it is. Leaves thin and snails attack them. Low techness is very standard. Special. My first thought would be look towards a CO2 setup. I can't recommend CO2 highly enough. The difference between CO2 and no CO2 is night and day for plant growth. It's like putting nitrous in your car sort of scenario. It makes a massive difference. If you've got lots of nitrates, you probably don't need to add a liquid fertilizer that's going to increase Your nitrates, you're probably looking for something with a lower nitrate level. I don't know much about the Finatics lights. I've never used them. So it could be a lighting issue. Also, other issues with substrates can be a thing as well, depending on the sort of plants you're growing. Cryptochrines and school plants really love a really rich root base. So if you don't have that, they might be struggling. So maybe some root tabs underneath could help. Yeah, okay. If you're getting leggy, that's normally a result of not having enough light. So you could try increasing your light levels. If you're increasing light, you're going to have to increase fertilizers. If you can grow anubias, it probably is a light thing because they're not that thirsty on the light. Another problem people encounter is when the stem plants get leggy, is the bottom of them seem to rot away a little bit. A way to work around that is give them a cut and then replant them. That means that the light goes a bit lower to the bottom of the plant so that it begins to get the energy that it needs to continue to grow. There's a few options there. I would suspect that it could be something to do with the lighting, so cutting them could help. And adding some more light might be another option when it comes to that. I think that'd just be my first couple of thoughts when it comes to that. Yeah, you can put another light on. If you've got another light, give it a go. Might need, depends on how deep your tank is. It might need an extra one. It might need an investment into another one. I don't know much about the Finatics lights. I'm sorry, so I can't give you too much when it comes to that. All right. So during this week, I hope that's helped, and I hope your plants start to kick off and thrive a little bit. But during this week, I've decided to cut most of the live food that we have available on the website. So we're still going to be doing micro worms, we're still going to be doing white worms, and we're still probably going to be doing mealworms. But the likes of the crickets and the locusts and stuff like that, I've decided to cut off. A couple of reasons behind this. They weren't arriving with me until Thursday, sometimes Friday, and then if we're pre-ordering them, trying to send them out, getting for the weekend just wasn't happening. So there's a lot of insects that were dying in transit. And obviously, if you're looking for live food, that's not going to help. So it was one of the reasons. And the other reasons was it was just becoming logistically a bit of a pain. So basically decided to get rid of the locusts and crickets. And there was something else in there, but we're going to keep the micro worms, which we always have at least one or two on hand. And we'll get some mealworms going and stuff like that as well. If you want to know the answer to how you get a lush beard, I wash with a beard wash twice, and then I put a beard oil in twice. You always have to repeat. If you don't repeat, you do not get lush, gorgeous beard. Are you happy now, Cameron? Wash twice, oil twice. Delicious. Anyway, back to where we were at. So your micro worms, white worms, you probably need to grow a beard first, brother. Otherwise, you aren't going to have much point putting any beard oil on your face. Yeah, micro worms, white worms, and mealworms will continue to work through. But the crickets and locusts and whatnot, I don't know what we're going to be cutting off for the time being. Don't forget, all month long of June, we are having all the ZIS range on special. So that comes down to the ZIS CO2 generators, the ZIS bubble media filters, the ZIS media, the air stones, the whole lot. So if it's got ZIS in the word, we have it on sale, 20% off all month long. What would that help make it where I don't have to go algae from nutrients in the water from? Yeah, so it would, but the likes of stem plants like nutrients in the water, so it'll probably drop the chance of having algae that way, but it might also mean that the stem plants don't get the nutrients they need, so they might stop growing as much, which will then give the opportunity of algae to take on as well. Do you have a light timer on your lights? I've always sort of worked on the theory with growing plants or growing planted aquariums. It's all about a balanced triangle, much like that. So it's balance between light, CO2, and fertilizer. If you can get that balance right, you're generally away laughing. And what I find helps that balance is having a light timer on your lights. So you know that every single day your aquarium is getting 8 or 9 or 7 or whatever you set it amount of hours of light. So your plants get into the routine of lights on, lights off. This is when they're going to generate the energy they need to grow. And this is when they're resting. So I've always found that having a light timer is really, really helpful. And then you can work on balancing your fertilizers and your CO2 around that. Yeah, I think I would be putting the light timer to use straight away, especially because you do have one. And then you can work out from there, increasing your fertilizer range and your CO2. I think CO2 is definitely well and truly worth an investment, whether it's a DIY system or a pressurized system. I do think that's well and truly worth the investment for your situation. Again, like I said before, I don't know if I've ever spoken to anyone that has gone with CO2 and have regretted it. Maybe they've regretted the option of CO2 that they've used, but they haven't regretted the actual CO2 for the plant growth itself. It makes a massive difference. Also helps fight off algae because the plant's becoming healthier. Healthier plants means they're drawing the nutrients, and the algae doesn't have time to take hold, basically. So, yeah, I'd be definitely first of all looking at setting up the plant timer or your light timer and looking at CO2. Stem plants don't draw as much from the roots; they're mainly drawing from the water column, so the root tabs might not help the stem plants. You might need to continue to work on the liquid fertilizer. An option for that would be Ep92 because it's low on nitrates and phosphates. Right, so yeah, that CO2 is absolutely worth every cent. Yeah, like I said, it's night and day between a CO2 tank and a non-CO2 tank. It's just phenomenal. And although I definitely think there is merits for setting up low tech and things like crypts and newbies, stuff like that, they're fine without it. The growth you get from it is phenomenal. If I ever set up a proper serious planted tank, I always make sure to have CO2 if it's just a tank with a few plants in it. Not really in the world, but if you really wanted to get those plants to go, then CO2 is almost essential. Not quite, but almost. All right, so this is the end of what I've got. Oh, one more thing. I promise you I'm going to get the podcast out from the other week, but I said I'm doing it today. I promise. I absolutely swear. As soon as I get off this video, I'm going to make sure I finish editing it and get it out this afternoon. I promise. Promise. All right. So anyway, it's time for us to rip the scab off the product. So today, we're looking at the Ocean Nutrition Spirulina Formula. So this is a frozen food. What I like about it is I've defrosted some earlier. Hopefully I can get out of my little brine shrimp cup. So this is it defrosted from earlier. It's completely held its form, which is great, but you can also break it up. Try not to drip the blue algae or blue water everywhere. So you can break it up. So it's much like a gel. It holds form really well, so you can, one cube, you can break up 2 or 3 pieces and chuck into multiple aquariums. It sinks to the bottom. It's so rich in algae that pretty much every single fish goes for it. But it's not just rich in algae. It's not just rich in algae. It's also got things like crustaceans in it and stuff like that. So some of your more carnivorous fish also go for it. So I'm going to have a read at the back. So the ingredients list: adult brine shrimp, fish fillets, mussels, squid, spirulina, seaweed, sea lettuce, marine microalgae, garlic, vitamins. So it's vitamin A, vitamin D3, vitamin E, vitamin K3, B1, B2, B5, B6, B12, vitamin C, B3, vitamin H, B4, B8, B11, and then some other pigments and minerals. So that is a pretty full ingredient list. There's nothing filler, nothing binder, nothing junk in there, but it binds really, really well. So first time I used this, pretty much every single fish that we had went crazy on it, which really sparked my interest. Everything from the mollies, which is no surprise, I love algae, to corridoras went crazy on it, tetras, everything in between, even had the ember tetras going for it, and they're, in my experience, a little bit picky when it comes to gel-based sort of food. Not this is gel-based, but you know what I mean. So I would consider this a very, very whole nutrition food for your aquarium fish, and I really like it, and it is absolutely in the rotation of what we use excuse me, here in the shop. More than happy with it. Obviously, it's frozen. We can send frozens around the country, no dramas, in a poly box, and to keep them frozen. I'm a huge fan of this. I really like it, and it's in our rotation. With our rotation, we obviously feed live brine shrimp out a couple of times a week. Rapashi grub pie gets fed out a couple of times a week. Ceriflora algae flakes, another one we like, and the Fish Science fish treats, which we don't have on the shelf at the moment because there was an issue in transit. They all got broken up and turned into powder knots cases, so we're using them in shop once it's available. We'll have them on stock as well. So the food that we feed all the fish in here are generally high quality, high based food. Not stuff with a lot of gunk and fillers and things like that, but it's also really good variations of food as well. To hopefully, when you get your fish, they're used to everything that's sort of going in, other than pellets, which we don't seem to feed. But it's all based on the highest possible nutrition, highest quality food that we can get our hands on to feed all these fish. Again, when they're coming into us, they've just gone through a month's quarantine, very stressful, they're traveling around the world, traveling to us. So I feel it's a time where they need decent nutrition to try and get their immune system up. And I think this is going to be really good for that. Obviously, it's got marine fish on the front of the box, but I'm very certain, very confident, very adamant that it can be and it will be fed just fine to freshwater fish as well. So that's what we were at the Scab off today. I really like it. I think it's high quality frozen food. So far, so good with everything that's come in Ocean Nutrition. I've been very happy with all their frozen products. The white mosquito larvae, black mosquito larvae, brilliant as well. Really like the white mosquito larvae. So, yeah, that's another one I think they've hit out of the park with the Spirulina Formula. So, there we go. So that's all that I've got. I've clearly put my book away for the day. So if there's anything else anybody wants to talk about, you're free to do so. I've got a little bit left of my coffee, and I'm more than happy to talk some more and talk about fish, plants, and whatnot. But if there's nothing, I'm also more than happy to go and do some more work, I suppose. I find it quite hard to call it work because, you get to do things that you enjoy. Is that the same company that makes the instant baby brine? I'm not sure. Instant baby brine. Can you explain the instant? Is it like literally pouring water on it and then they somehow hatch? Or are you talking about brine shrimp eggs that hatch over a few days' time? I suspect that I do know they do a brine shrimp flake. And I do know that they do a brine shrimp egg as well, but I don't know if they do an instant one. I was on their website about a week ago looking at a few options. And I did definitely see the brine shrimp flake and the brine shrimp eggs. Most fish, if it is, you're talking about normal brine shrimp eggs that hatch, most fish do seem to enjoy brine shrimp. At least in my experience, there's not a lot that say no to it. Obviously, if you've got a 5 million foot arowana, it's pretty unlikely to eat a tiny little brine shrimp. Baby food looking jar. I will see if that's available at the wholesalers, and if it is, we might look at getting into that. How do you get a whakapapa to start eating shellfish? I couldn't tell you, I'm sorry. I have absolutely no knowledge at all when it comes to those fish. I've never kept them in my life. I've never even seen one in real life or in person. My first guess would be yes, we do have frozen krill. My first guess would be to starve it for a few days' time and then hope that it would be interested in it like that. I guess my next thought would be treat it like a picky toddler. Maybe stuff some shellfish or what it is that you're trying to feed into some food that it already eats, if it's already eating. I know things like picky arowana, you can do that with. You can gut load pellets and stuff like that into shrimp or prawn if that's what it's eating. So it begins to slowly get a taste of the other food that you're trying to feed it and then get the other food going on. But my experience with those puffer fish are very limited. I'm very sorry, so I can't really give you too much on that. assume that live shellfish is what you're trying, like crabs and stuff like that, as opposed to mussels, clams, and things like that. Again, assuming that the movement would encourage them more. But if you are trying the clams and things like that, I'm not entirely sure because I haven't kept them before. I'm sorry. And yes, yep, we do have frozen krill and copepods. I can't quite see. There's a couple more in the Ocean Nutrition range that we've got in stock now. I haven't tried the krill yet, but I'm very keen to give it a go very soon. I might open it up this weekend and have a wee go and see what the krill goes like. All right, then. Have we got any more? Have we got any more questions or comments from the floor? Yes, you'll be in soon. Very good. I'll be here all day. All right, everybody. I'm going to go. I'm going to do some work, and I'm very sure that I'll see Michelle very soon. So everyone, team, happy fish keeping. Catch you later. Thank you for joining us.